It's here. Okay. If, yeah, I'm just going to ask if they want to come to.
Go ahead, then I'll talk.
Hello, everyone. If you'd like to come up and offer incense, you may do so right now if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay.
Before the Sharon gives the Dharma School message, it's not on there. You just introduce her.
Oh, yeah.
I've been a minister's assistant since should I write it down?
Yeah, 2020.
21.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably. I'll remember that.
Yeah. And then I'm current, well, I can write down if you want.
Okay, thank you. On the- oh, that'd be great. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you don't want this one. Pen in my pocket. Outfit.
Wow, that's a nice one, Sensei.
good. Yeah.
Right.
Good.
John the Cowboy told me that Jean was going to be
Maximo,
doing some reading. So
What?
she asked if she could sit down while she's listening.
reading. Oh,
She
sure.
asked for a chair.
Yeah, right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, and this can go down over there too.
Would that be okay?
Oh, yeah, so this reaches,
Yeah.
this will reach her.
Yeah. I recommend turn it off.
Can you turn it off?
There's a button.
I think.
Give it to her. so-
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, just pulling it out makes sometimes a lot of noise that gets
Got it.
amplified. And
Got it. So the first to read is Margot, and then, oh, here it is. Oh, it's Sue first. It's Sue, Kelly, and Maya. Okay, got it.
yeah,
Thank you.
that
thank
was the order I was given.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that came from Junko. So
Yes, and so now I just wait for the Kansho, and after that, then I just welcome everyone to today's service.
yes,
Okay, got it.
Perfect.
Okay, sounds good.
and it looks like we're
Pretty good crowd.
probably.
Are they ready? Okay. I'll ask Smitty Sensei if she's ready.
Is Reverend Smitty, is she going to do the
Pretty sure, yes. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sutra chanting also that? Okay. Okay, and then
Yeah,
we go into.
I think usually these, like you can announce all three of these at the same time.
Oh,
So like
okay.
she'll go from Sambujo to the Kyo, I think, right? Or she doesn't, or does she usually say, maybe, I'm not sure. Like if
I
you
think
could-
that is the case, but we could probably just ask her to be.
I'll check with her right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, which items she would want you to announce. Maybe the sutra chanting. I'm not. Yeah, you know.
Okay, at the Juseige. Okay, Sambujo. So I wait for the control, right? Before we start.
Yes, yes, I'm gonna
Yeah.
ring the Kansho as soon as Smitty Sensei says that
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
good
we'll tell you.
to start.
Okay, what do
Well,
we?
yeah, Arturo will basically
They're
start.
ready.
You don't need to announce the concept.
No,
Yeah.
it just starts.
Yeah.
Got it.
I think everybody's ready. Should we start?
Oh,
okay.
gee,
Here,
yeah.
and especially because she
Yes.
Mobility.
mobility challenged.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want her to
Feel rushed.
Try to
feel
rush.
rushed trying
Yeah,
to get
exactly.
up here. So
Exactly. Yeah.
She's here, so I saw her.
Is
She
she?
is, she
Okay.
is here at the temple. I have a question right here. Do I, okay, I see. Okay, the chanting of the Sambujo will be officiated by you?
say you can say be chanting Sambujo, page 21.
Do I mention that you'll be leading? No?
No, I don't think you have to.
And then do I say
Or you
Yo
can say,
Yakumon?
yeah, Smitty, Reverend Smitty will lead us in chanting of Sambujo, which is on page 21.
Okay, and then it'll just go on. Do I need to say this intention of service or sutra chanting, or will it just, or should I just mention on? Please go to page 35 for sutra chanting. Just say again.
Yeah, when I finish the intention of service
Oh, okay.
and we say the Nembutsu together, then you can say Sutra chanting will be Juseige on page 30.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you for chairing.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, sure. I'm just I haven't done this in a while, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll be okay. She's coming.
Oh, okay.
There she is. Yeah.
There she is. Yes. Good.
Robert's happy to keep playing. He likes this gig.
Yeah.
He enjoys it. He likes, so it works.
I guess usually not here, earlier or much before service, so you realize plays. So attention with these musical artists.
Who said that? Oh, that's so sweet. We'll tell him because he'll be happy to hear that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today at Temple. Today is the BWA Memorial Service and Lady Takeko KUJO and Lady Yoshiko OHTANI Memorial Service. We will begin with the fruit and floral offerings from the Dharma School 3rd and 4th grade. Thank you. We will begin with chanting, Sutra chanting on page 21, Sambujo, followed by the Hyabyakumon, intentions of service, and then finally Juseige on page 35. And Reverend Smitty Sensei will lead us in the chanting.
KUJO Midan Yorai Niudo Jo San Ge Shaka Nyorai Niudo Jo San Ge Ra We gather today, embraced by the wisdom and compassion that is Amida Buddha, to observe the annual memorial for members of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego's Buddhist Women's Association, who have crossed over to the other shore. This is a time to remember and honor all those BWA members who have passed away and to recognize their continued influence in our lives. We also honor and remember Lady Takeko KUJO and Lady Yoshiko OHTANI today. Lady KUJO founded the Buddhist Women's Association within Jodo Shinshu Honganjiha, and her legacy is one of redefining women's roles within our temples as she aspired to relieve the suffering of all people. Lady OHTANI revived the BWA following World War II and helped to grow the organizations by establishing the first worldwide BWA conferences. Both Lady KUJO and Lady OHTANI were devout Nembutsu followers, avid listeners of the Dharma, and active participants in service to their communities. The same may be said of the many BWA members who followed their examples and truly lived the Dharma every day. In gratitude for our lives having been enriched by Lady KUJO, Lady OHTANI, and all the Buddhist Temple of San Diego BWA members who have gone before us to the other shore, we place our palms together in Gassho as we say the name of the Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, 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 Namandab.
Please turn to page 35 for Juseige.
Agoncho segan hishimu jodo shigan fumanzok seifujo shogak gao muryoko fuidai seshu fusai shobingu seifujo shogak gashi jobundo myosho chojipo kukyo mishomon seifujo shogak ryokujin shonen jo eshu bongyo shigumu jodo isho teninchi jinriki endai ko fusho musaido shoujo san kumyo kosai shuyakunan kai hichi egen, meshi kon mo an, he soku sho akudo, tsu daten zen shumon, koso jo manzo, Yoro Jippo, Nichigaten Shujuki, Tenko On Pugen, Ishukai Hozo, Koseku Doku Ho, Jo Dai Shuchu, Seppo Shishiku, Kuyo Isai But, Gusoku Shutoku Hon, Gan E Shinjo Man, Toku Isan Gai O, Nyobuten Mugechi, Tsudaten Mihu Sho, Gangaku Erik, Toshi Sai Shoson, Shiganya Koka, Daisen Okando, Koku Shotenin, Tochin Myoke, Namandabu, 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 Ganishiku Doku, Byodo Seisai, Dohoten Bodai Shin, Ojo, Anrako.
We will now begin the reading of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego Buddhist Women's Association memorial names. These are the names of the great-grandmothers, grandmothers, mothers, sisters, and friends who have passed away, but who have supported our temple since World War II, during the difficult times after the war, so that we can all enjoy and learn from the Buddha Dharma. So first to read from this memorial list is Sumoribe.
Akiyama Yasu, Mrs. Chieko Sugiyama. Amano Momoyo, Mrs. Mikie Honda.
Excuse me, while the names are read, please come up and offer incense for the family members. Thank you.
Yeah. Amano Nobuko, Mrs. Tracy Amano Mitchell. Amemiya Mary, Ms. Gail Amemiya. Araumi Shin, Azuma family. Azuma Tora, Azuma family. Benson Agnes, Mrs. Sachiko Kohatsu. Date Oto, Ms. Jill Ota. Fukamizu Kimie, Ms. Rochelle Carroll. Furuya Iwa, Mr. George Furuya Jr. Furuya Takai, Mr. George Furuya Jr. Hamada Leora, Mr. Gary Hamada. Hanano Mitsue, Mrs. Carolyn Y. Skinner. Hashiguchi Fuji, Hashiguchi family. Hataue Kura, Mr. Brandon Inoue. Hill Gail Mio, Mr. Ed Hill. Himaka Kazue, Mr. Michio Himaka. Himaka Setsuko, Mrs. Lynn Fuchigami. Honda Fumino, Mrs. Mikie Honda. Hosaka Yuku, Mrs. June Hosaka. Ishino Matsue, Mrs. Hiroko Ishino. Ishizu Sadako, Mrs. Setsuko Toyama. Iwashita Tamiko, Mr. and Mrs. Setsuo Iwashita.
We will now have Kelly Tamaya continue with the readings.
Iwataki Yoshiko, Carol and Patricia Iwataki. Kamimura A, Miss Midori Kamimura. Kaminaka Ayako, Mr. Wayne Kaminaka. Kashima Yoshiko, Mrs. Jeannie Kashima. Kawamoto Ito, Mr. David Kawamoto. Kawamoto Sakayo, Mrs. Mitsuko Kawamoto. Kawasaki Kyo, Mr. and Mrs. Trace Kawasaki. Kawasaki Misao, Mr. Ted Kawasaki. Kawasaki Toshiko, Mr. Ted Kawasaki. Kawato Yoshiko, Mrs. Nancy Nakatani. Kida Chieko, Mrs. Katsumi Kida. Kimura Hatsue, Mrs. Holly Heidinger. Kyono Ruth, Mr. Norman Kyono. Koba Michiko, Mrs. Anne Ong. Koba Shizue, Mrs. Anne Ong. Kodama Yukino, Kodama family. Kusaka Matsu, Kusaka family. Mamiya Tamiko, Mr. David Kawamoto. Masumoto Yuki, Mrs. Chioko Masumoto. Matsumoto Dorothy, Mr. Troy Matsumoto. Mayumi Tamio, Mrs. Mitsuko Kawamoto. Moribe Chieno, Mr. Lee Moribe. Morinaka Alice Asako, Mr. Ron Morinaka. Moriyama Chieko, Miss Madeline Clogston. Muraoka Haruko, Mr. Roy Muraoka.
Our next person to read the names is Jean Maximo.
Nabita Ritsu, Mrs. Joyce Teague. Nakamura Fuji, Mrs. Jill Uta. Nakamura Hamako, Mrs. Yuiko Sujiyama. Nakamura Koyoshi, Mr. and Mrs. J. Nakamura. Nakamura Pauline, Mrs. Jill Uta. Nemoto Rui, Mrs. Kathy Ferguson. Nishii Noboe, Mrs. Akiko Matsumoto. Nishinaga Masa, Mrs. Manny Ryan. Ochi Kayoko, Mrs. Amy Ochi. Ochi Kiyoko, Mrs. Holly Hillinger. Ogawa Hisayo, Mr. Stephen Yagade. Ohara Fumiko, BWA Friends. Ohara Kisai, Mrs. Ann Ohara. Ohara Mitsu, Mrs. Ann Ohara. Okuma Mitose, Mrs. Keiko Negoro. Omori Kyoko, Mrs. Shirley Omori. Osaki Wasa, Mrs. Ann Yamamoto. Ota Tomillo, Mr. and Mrs. Ken Ota. Otto Motono, Mrs. Ami Otto. Otsuji Ayako, Mrs. Denis Otsuji. Oya Fujie, Mrs. Kei Ochi. Saito Shitsue, Mrs. Georgiana Uda. Sakamoto Komeno, Mrs. Tracy Amano Mitchell. Santo Higashi Kyoko, Mrs. Yoki Graver. Santo Higashi Sachiko, Mrs. Lauren Sasaki, Mr. Gary Tomiyama.
Margot Spears will continue to read the next group of memorial names.
Shigehara Yoshiko, Mr. Wilbur Shigehara. Shimizu Emi, Mr. Gordon Shimizu. Shimizu Shizuko, Mr. Gordon Shimizu. Sueyoshi Yoshiko, Mrs. Annie Y. Christina. Suyanaga Mary, Suyanaga family. Tachiki Aiko, Tachiki family. Tachiki Kimiya, Tachika family. Tachika Tetsu, Tachiki family. Tachiki Miyako, Tachiki family. Takaji Toshiko, Mrs. Alice Aoyama. Takahashi Fusano, Sunayaga family. Takahashi Kotono, Mrs. Ruth Boris. Takashima Helen Kikuko, Miss Lisa Takashima. Takashima Tsume, Mr. Wilbur Takashima. Takashima Yoshiko, Mr. Wilbur Takashima. Tanaka Tsuruye, Mrs. Chiyoko Masumoto. Terara Yukie, Mrs. Noriko Sasaki. Tomiyama Akie, Mrs. Lauren Sasaki, Mr. Garrett Tomiyama. Tomiyama Mary Sayako, Mrs. Ann Yamamoto. Torio Suna, Mrs. Betty Torio. Tsuneyoshi Harue, Miss Miki Tsuneyoshi. Tsuneyoshi Sara, Mrs. Angie Tsuneyoshi. Tsuredomo Peggy, Mrs. Chiyoko Masumoto. Watanabe Masa, Mrs. Diane Yamada. Watanabe Sen, Mr. Gary Hamada.
Our last group of names will be read by Junko Kajita.
Watanabe Yoshiko, Mrs. Diane Yamada. Yagade Yukie, Mr. Stephen Yagade. Yagi Chieko, Mrs. Christine Driscoll. Yagura Mary, Mr. Ron Yagura. Yagura Naoe, Mr. Ron Yagura. Yamada Kakue, Yamada family. Yamada Rosie, Yamada family. Yamada Susie, Mr. Bert Masumoto. Yamaguchi Katsuko, Mrs. Donna McDonald. Yamaguchi Mary, Mrs. Donna McDonald. Yamamoto Shizue, Yamamoto family. Yamanishi Matsu, Mrs. Miyoko Yamanishi. Yamanishi Sawa, Mrs. Miyoko Yamanishi. Yamasaki Tetsu, Mrs. Angie Tsuneyoshi. Yamashita Tome, Mr. and Mrs. Tracy Kawasaki. Yanagihara Shizuko, Mrs. Sumi Yanagihara. Yano Betty, Mrs. Madeline Clogston. Yano Chiyo, Mrs. Madeline Clogston. Yonekura Ryu, Miss Lisa Takashima. Yonekure Toyoko, Mrs. Susan Yonekura. Yonekura Yoshie, Miss Lisa Takashima. Yoshida Matsue, Mrs. Betty Torio.
Thank you so much. We will next have our Dharma School message by our Minister Assistant Sharon Sasaki. She has been a Minister Assistant since 2021 under the guidance of Reverend Kenji Akahoshi. She is currently studying at the Institute of Buddhist Studies in the Certificate of Shin Buddhist Studies program. She's been a Dharma School teacher of the 5th to 8th grade class and Dharma School co-superintendent.
Please join me in Gassho. Sentient beings who encounter this light have the 3 defilements swept away, and they become soft and gentle in body and mind. They leap and dance with joy, and the good mind arises in them. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. So good morning, everyone. How are you doing? It's a great honor to speak here today. So thank you so much to the Buddhist Women's Association for your gracious invitation and support. Hearing the names read of the Buddhist Women's Association members who passed away was very moving, and I appreciated hearing their names. So today, I'm excited to talk about remarkable Jodo Shinshu Buddhist women that we're honoring during this special memorial service. The first is Lady Takeko Kujo, who lived from 1887 to 1928. Lady Kujo was the daughter of the 21st Gomonshu, OHTANI Koson. She was a daddy's girl, very close to her father. But her father sadly passed away when she was 16 years old. And it was her first experience of the heartbreak of losing someone that she dearly loved. This is a photo of Lady Kujo with her sister-in-law, Kazuko OHTANI, the wife of her brother, OHTANI Kozui, who was the 22nd Gomonshu. In 1907, these 2 close friends traveled around Japan to encourage female Nembutsu followers to establish local Buddhist women's associations and a national headquarters. This was a groundbreaking effort, since in Japan in those days, there were few women who were active leaders in society. At the time, Kazuko-sama was 26 years old, and Lady Takeko was 21. At such a young age, Lady Takeko developed strong leadership abilities. So, together, these two strong young women established the Buddhist Women's Association. How cool is that? I consider the BWA as like the mom or matriarch in a family to our temple, the backbone and heartbeat of our temple. Another great accomplishment is that Lady KUJO established Kyoto Women's University. In 1912, she insisted on the needs for higher education for women, especially in a Buddhist context. Her statement was approved by more than 300,000 BWA members, and within the male-dominated society, they started a huge call for a women's university. Lady KUJO is also known for reconstructing Tsukiji Honganji Temple in Tokyo. This is a photo of the temple in 1870. Did you know that there was a huge earthquake in Tokyo in 1923? It's known as the Great Kanto Earthquake. This great temple that was built in 1679 was completely destroyed. Lady KUJO sponsored humanitarian efforts which led to its reconstruction, and Tsukiji Honganji is now the center of Jodo Shinshu Buddhist learning in Tokyo. This is a photo of Tsukiji Honganji in May 2023, when Ralph, Arturo, and I, and many others from this temple, were fortunate to visit there during the 850th celebration of Shinran Shonin. After the earthquake, Lady KUJO led a Nishi Honganji Temple relief station to provide injured people with medical and emotional assistance. And it was the beginning of Asoka Hospital, one of the first modern medical centers in Japan, which still operates today. Lady KUJO provided aid for people in the poorest areas where the need was greatest. This work sadly led to her contracting blood poisoning that led to her death on February 7th, 1928, at the young age of 40. Lady KUJO's memorial service is known as Kisaragi Ki. Can you say Kisaragi Ki? Kisaragi is a classic name for February, the month that she passed away. The second woman we're honoring today is Lady Yoshiko OHTANI. This is a portrait of Lady OHTANI and a photo with her husband, Gomonshu Kosho OHTANI, in 1952. Lady OHTANI's son is Gomonshu Emeritus, Koshin OHTANI. And her grandson is the current Gomonshu, Kojun OHTANI. Based on what I've learned about Lady OHTANI, I'm sure that she had a huge impact on their upbringing and religious paths, both inwardly in terms of their spiritual cultivation and outwardly, which is what you can see in their leadership, rituals, and messages. After World War II, there was great hardship in Japan, with factories destroyed, food shortages, psychological trauma, and social instability. During this very difficult time, Lady Yoshiko OHTANI took on a leadership role in revitalizing the Buddhist Women's Association. She traveled widely throughout Japan and to other countries, including the United States, visiting various Buddhist temples to connect with different BWA chapters and encourage their participation. This photo gives you a sense of the excitement and anticipation when the Gomonshu and Lady OHTANI visited the Sacramento Buddhist Church in 1952. A very important aspect of Lady OHTANI's work was initiating nationwide and international BWA conferences, allowing different chapters to share knowledge and cultural traditions. Lady OHTANI's efforts significantly contributed to the expansion of the BWA, establishing a stronger network of Buddhist women across the world. And this photo is some of our Buddhist Temple of San Diego group who attended the World Buddhist Women's Convention that was held in Kyoto, Japan in May 2023. Lady OHTANI was also a researcher and writer. She was passionate about discovering and sharing the life story of Shindan Shonin's wife and wrote the book Life of Eshini in 1970. Finally, today we are honoring women of the Buddhist Women's Association who have passed away. We probably wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for the Buddhist Women's Association, previously known as the Fujinkai. They do so much for our temple. One example is the fantastic English tea they led last year. That event was a huge amount of work and a labor of love from start to finish. Our friendly brittle lady, Margot, gives back to us by making us laugh. But most of what our BWA does for us is behind the scenes and we don't even realize it. Mrs. Akie Tomiyama, who passed away in December, was the epitome of the Buddhist Women's Association. She was a strong leader, kind, hardworking, and brought people together. She was also a champion of the BWA and a devout Nembutsu follower. I wanted to share this verse from the BWA's New Year song that was sung at our temple New Year party a few weeks ago. Can we sing it? To the tune of Sukiyaki, Ue o Muite. It goes, as we look up and sing and think of everything, why on this day are we in BWA? We have to say, to help in any way, lifts our spirits and makes our day. So thank you for that. I think it captures our BWA in a nutshell. And thank you to Mrs. Susan Maribe for writing that. The lyrics remind me of the opening passage that I read from the Sutra on the Buddha of Immeasurable Life, also known as the Larger Sutra. Sentient beings who encounter Amita's light become soft and gentle in body and mind. They leap and dance with joy. From our BWA members and this song, I get a sense of soft and gentle, as well as dancing with joy. And these are not feminine qualities or feminine energy, but the energy of deeply realizing compassion. So I have a question for Dharma School students. Which of the 6 paramitas, perfections on the path of a bodhisattva, do these remarkable women bring to mind? Anybody? What do you think? Jaden or Juliana? Do you remember the 6 paramitas? And this one has 4 letters. You can even guess a letter. I heard something. Good. Of course the Cruz family knows the answer. Dana. So Dana is giving. in the book, it says, giving, I shall be generous and helpful to others. And more specifically, selfless giving, where you don't expect anything in return, such as a thank you, a gift in return, or a favor in return. So it's kind of giving without keeping tabs on things, where you forget about the giver, you forget about the gift you gave, and you forget the recipient. You just give from your heart, and then you're not attached to any parts of that. And can you give without money or material goods? So yes, definitely. Here are 7 gifts that do not require any possessions and yet bring great results. And thank you to Reverend Kusunoki of Seattle Betsuin, who from one of his YouTube videos brought my attention to this. So here's the first one. The gift of kind eyes, to see goodness and beauty in all people and not look down on others. But it's hard to force kind eyes because that might look a little awkward. So you should try to feel kind first, or kindness first, and then you can naturally give kind eyes. The second is the gift of peaceful and joyful facial expressions. So that's to not make angry faces or roll your eyes, or when you walk by someone, look at them and smile. The gift of kind words, to speak gently to others and not speak in a mean or disrespectful way, and to sincerely tell someone thank you. The fourth is the gift of a kind and helpful body, to reach out with a helping hand for those in need, to show attentive and respectful body language to all people. Number 5 is the gift of a generous heart, to be able to see things from another person's perspective, sharing in their joys and empathizing with their struggles. So, if you're an Eagles fan, but the Chiefs win today, try to share the joy that they're feeling, or the opposite. Feel empathy for the fans of the losing team. 6 is the gift of a comfortable seat. Do you have a favorite seat at home? So this is to offer the most safe and comfortable seat to someone else, even if it means giving up your favorite seat. And 7th, the gift of welcoming hospitality, to warmly welcome visitors and everyone you meet, making them feel comfortable and at home. So in the spirit of Dana, like Lady Takeko KUJO, Lady Yoshiko OHTANI, and our Buddhist Women's Association, what can you give today? If you're going to a Super Bowl party, like the one here at our temple, you can practice these there and try to do all 7 and surprise everyone. Or maybe you naturally do these already. In closing, sending huge thanks to the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist women who have given us so much and are often unrecognized. You are exemplary role models for us on the Nembutsu path. Please join me again in Gassho. Sentient beings who encounter this light have the 3 defilements swept away, and they become soft and gentle in body and mind. They leap and dance with joy, and the good mind arises in them. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Sharon, for your very compassionate and thoughtful message. Next, we will have the singing of Seiya, which was inspired by a poet that Lady Takeko KUJO had written. So please stand, and let's see. It's on page 140 in the Gatha book. Thank you. Oh, also, please remain standing. I'm sorry. We will now do our pledge, which is in the insert in your Gatha book. Okay. Our pledge. Breaking out of my shell, I will share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I will share it in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life I have received, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who tirelessly works to liberate all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. We will now have Junko Kajita from the BWA do a presentation for the Junior YBA and Sangha teams.
So one of the most important goals of all the BWAs in the Buddhist churches of America is to support the youth at our respective temples. The two very active youth groups at our temples are the Junior Young Buddhist Association, composed of high school students, and the Sangha teens, composed of middle school students. So I am just always in awe of the high level of activity of our youth groups. For example, the Junior YBA sponsors the Halloween party. They do the bazaar games for the kids. They organize the mother's breakfast, and the Bodhi Day lunch, and they're always there to help whenever they're called upon. They happily agreed to be the servers at our BWA English tea, and they wore the hats and aprons, and they did a fantastic job. Aside from being busy with schoolwork, their dedicated advisors, Ken and Sharon Muraoka, find the time to drive them to the LA area for jam sessions, retreats, meetings, conferences, leadership training, basketball and volleyball games, and workshops. They're very, very busy. And the Sangha teams, with their dedicated advisors, Avis Honda and Kimberly Cruz, are busy with learning. Excuse me. I think they taught them how to make cookies, and they made spam musubi. They help at the mochisuki, at the bazaar, among many other activities. So in order to support these activities and encourage them to follow the Nembutsu path, our BWA is happy to present our Junior YBA and Sangha teams with this gift from the donations that we received at our Lady Eshini, Lady Kakushini memorial service that we held back in October. I would like a representative from the Junior YBA and Sangha teams to please come up to receive this gift from the BWA. So it looks like Kobe and Cassidy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to thank all of you who helped make this service possible today. It takes a lot of work and effort from many of us who are behind the scenes, and I'd like to give them recognition. If I forget names, please excuse me, But first of all, I'd like to thank Reverend Smitty Sensei for officiating the service, and also our minister's assistant, Sharon Sasaki, for the Dharma messages, Arturo Rubio for reading of the Kansho, and then also thanking our music accompanist, Robert Yamamoto, on the guitar, and the minister's assistant who set up the areas for incense burning as well. I would also like to thank the women the BWA members who read the names in the memorial list: Sue Moribe, Kelly Tamaya, Jean Maximo, Margot Spears, Junko Kajita. I would like to also thank the technology team of Reverend Honda and Bill Teague for setting up the technology and the video streaming for this service. If there's anyone I have missed, please excuse me, but thank you all for supporting the temple and making this very important special service happen today. Thank you very much. Do we have any announcements?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Nice to see all of you today for this very important service. As Ms. Sharon mentioned, today is Super Bowl Sunday, so nice to see all of you here. And later this afternoon, we'll have a little party downstairs during the game. Anyone, you're all welcome to join us to watch the game on the temple's big screen. Mr. Tim will get that set up for us and enjoy company. And, you know, it doesn't matter who you're rooting for. It's just that you're coming to enjoy the day with the Sangha, okay? And we'll probably be getting together about 3 o'clock. The game starts at 3:30. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. We did talk a lot today about Takeko KUJO, and I want you to know that we had a very generous donation of a book of her sayings, her speaking, and each page has a short message of hers. It's very inspiring. I took it home last night, saw it for the first time, was very moved. And these are yours for a donation. Any donation will be accepted. So please make sure that you come back and grab one up.
To the Dharma School students, when you're leaving, one of the gifts that the BWA ladies have made is a butter mochi, so be sure to pick it up after you do your shoko. So that's a dana from the BWA to the Sangha Dharma School students, okay? Thank you.
Okay, I guess that's it for announcements. I forgot to also thank the Dharma School 3rd and 4th grade for their fruit and floral offering. So thank you so much. And also thank you, Dharma School kids, for sitting through a very long service. I appreciate your attention and your patience. And now you are excused to your classes, so you may come up and offer incense and walk to your classes. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Next, we will have the reading of the Vandana and Tisarana on page 96. And please read from the very top, even though it says leader and follower, whatever, you just read from the top. Vandana and Tisarana, page 96 in your service book.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Gasho Namanda 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 Namanda.
Okay, we will now have Sharon Sasaki give the adult Dharma message.
Please join me in Gasho. When we say Namo Amida Butsu, the countless Buddhas throughout the 10 quarters, surrounding us, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, rejoice in and protect us. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning again, and thank you again to our Buddhist Women's Association and our whole Sangha for your amazing support. I sincerely appreciate this opportunity. During my Dharma School message, I talked about some of Lady Takeko Kujo's and Lady Yoshiko Otani's accomplishments. For my adult message, I'd like to talk more about the interior lives of these women on the Nembutsu path. Ladies Kujo and OHTANI are examples for all of us, women, men, all human beings, of what it means to be a Nembutsu follower. Lady Takeko Kujo's father, Koson OHTANI, became Gomonshu in 1871, which was the fourth year of the Meiji period, which was Japan's modernization. The government instituted Shinto as the national religion at this time, resulting in an anti-Buddhist movement. Koson OHTANI was an energetic leader during this difficult time. He emphasized the importance of religious education and established many Buddhist schools. It's said that Takeko was her father's favorite child. Sadly, as I had mentioned earlier, Gomonshu Koson OHTANI died at age 52 of kidney disease when Lady KUJO was 16 years old. About his death, Lady KUJO wrote, "I felt as if I was in between a dream and the reality. I cried and cried, holding his hands, shouted, 'Daddy, Daddy,' from Muyuge, Flower Without Sorrow." And thank you to Reverend Yuki Sugahara for this translation and also some of this background information that I wasn't aware of before. So Lady KUJO also lost her dear sister-in-law, Lady Kazuko, with whom she had established the BWA 4 years prior. Kazuko-sama was only 30 when she passed away. The dream of these two women was to establish a women's university based on Shindan Shonin's teachings. And after her passing, Lady Takeko carried on their dream. A concept I learned from my father are the two approaches to the Nembutsu faith. You could describe Lady Takeko Kujo's spiritual path as starting as Mushin no Jun-en and coming to fruition as Gyaku-en. Jun-en were the Jodo Shinshu teachings given to Lady KUJO by her father. So the direct way of faith, learning from teachers and self-reflection. Gyaku-en was the Nembutsu deepened by her experiences of heartbreak, losing dear loved ones, which is called the indirect approach to entering the Nembutsu. The teaching of the Pure Land and her father becoming Buddha comforted Lady KUJO. She felt her father was always watching over her as a Buddha, and she had the energy to do outstanding work. In 1912, at the time Lady KUJO established the Kyoto Women's University, there was a dominant thought that women were only suitable for having and raising children and should primarily be obedient. It's apparent to me that both Lady KUJO and Lady OHTANI were modern, assertive women who followed their own hearts and minds. Do you know the term Bo-mori? A Bo-mori is commonly known as a Buddhist minister's wife or partner. It translates as temple guardian, who serves as a partner to the Bozu, temple master. Another term used for a minister's wife is okusan, which translates as person in the back, as opposed to the person in the front, the minister. Kind of like in this photo, with a minister in front and his wife in the back of the hondo. As a well-known poet and writer of her time, Lady KUJO was a person in the front, unafraid to stand out and be visible. She talks about her motivation in the foreword of her book, Muyuge. My father instructed me in the path to follow since I was a child, and I have tried to follow the way he showed. This is the 25th year since my father's death. I wish to converse with him by offering this volume before his grave. I was inspired by Lady KUJO's assertiveness in this writing from her book, The Parrot. A parrot, brought from a southern country, lives in a beautiful cage. It spends its days peacefully with nothing to fear. This bird can skillfully imitate people's words and even their laughter. But when we think about it, how sad that the parrot cannot enjoy a hearty laugh of its own. In a spot where the gentle spring sunlight shines through the building's high window panes, the parrot crosses its cage and amuses itself by performing skillful impersonations. The talking bird is obediently doing what it was taught. But while just doing what it is told may be sufficient for a bird, it is unworthy of a human being. Regarding Lady Yoshiko Otani, when I first saw the book, The Life of Eshinni, I was surprised to learn that Lady Otani, the wife and mother of Gomonshu, was not a subject of the book, but the writer and researcher. Because of how much she cared about Lady Eshinni, she put herself out there. Her photo is right at the front of the book. I appreciated Lady Otani's frank assertiveness in this passage of the book regarding Lady Eshinni. She was not a fragile, refined woman. Rather, she seems to have been clear-headed and bright, giving in to no man, and therefore she was able to live in faraway, unfamiliar places, such as Kanto and Kyoto, helping her husband and raising their many children. Today, some men tend to put down Eshinni, but it is probably because she was not the demure type preferred by them. This passage shows Lady Otani's love for Lady Eshinni and the cause of Buddhist women. My simple wish is to have Eshinni, whom I hold in deepest affection, become better known. I hope to continue seeking more knowledge concerning her life, and this book marks but one stage in that journey. Based on these passages, you can see how Lady Otani was moved to lead and organize Buddhist women in Japan and around the world. Another aspect I was struck by in their writings was Lady KUJO and Lady Otani's introspection, how they reflected deeply on themselves. I've heard Reverend Mark Unno call it two cogs on the wheel. These women are clearly strong in Nembutsu faith, assertive, persons in the front, and aware of their own bonno, afflictions, greed, anger, ignorance, which manifests in their humility. On this topic, Lady KUJO wrote, "We should not become so used to Buddha's compassion that we misuse it or take it for granted. We must reflect on our weakness and how spiritually impoverished we are. Thus, we can fully experience the joy of being blessed with the Buddha's vow of enlightenment. We should not indulge in Buddha's compassion without realizing our weakness." And Lady Otani wrote, "Even so-called good people are not free of this essence of dark karma. That we must speak of human rights as we engage in genocide in Vietnam means that the chapter on the unfolding of dark karma cannot be closed. In my own complicity in evil, I am no more or less than any other human being." These statements express the two cogs on the wheel, formerly known as Nishu Jinshin, the two aspects of deep mind. The first aspect is we find ourselves hopeless, afflicted, and craving. The second aspect is simultaneously we are embraced by Amita's compassion, just as we are. You might ask, what does it mean to be embraced by Amita's compassion? That is an individual question on each person's religious journey. My interpretation currently is that it's a feeling or glimmer when you look around that everything was given to you, that you didn't do anything to deserve it. For example, I'm not a speaker here today because I did something great. The causes and conditions that led to me being here had nothing to do with my ego mind. Everything was given to me, so I have no reason to be proud, just thankful. Life itself was given to me. Of course, because of my own bonno, I do have pride and forget to be thankful. I found this photo in this year's BCA calendar, and I like how it captures the feeling of Jodo Shinshu. I think this is from the Techno Buddha music event. It reads, "The life of a Menbutsu practitioner is an interplay of sincere remorse and joy." Going back to the spirit of Jodo Shinshu Buddhist women, Reverend Patricia Usuki aptly describes it in her book, Currents of Change. Fujinkai, Buddhist Women's Association women, are perfect exemplars of mindful awareness and gratitude in everyday life, practicing humble and selfless care of the Sangha while insisting they need to hear and understand the Dharma more. Carrying on the legacy of Lady Takeko Kujo and Lady Yoshiko OHTANI, I see in our Buddhist Women's Association the spirit of gratitude, humility, and giving back. In my Dharma School message, I talked about our Buddhist Women's Association's spirit of dana, selfless giving. But maybe some of them would say that on reflection, it's not 100% selfless. That's the humility aspect. So here I'm calling it the BWA's spirit of giving back. Either way, it's okay. We are all accepted and embraced, just as we are. Namo Amida Butsu. That's the interplay of sincere remorse and joy. On a personal note, I'd like to dedicate this message to my grandmothers, who are both BWA members. Ooh. Kinuko Sasaki and Yuki Yokoi, as well as Aki Tomiyama. I could feel their love, guidance, and support as I was writing and as I'm speaking this talk. When people speak of eternal life, I think that's what it means. These women are still alive in me and all the people and things they touched. Mrs. Tomiyama was both a champion of the BWA and a temple board leader. I understand why our BWA feels like they're kind of reeling since she passed away on December 21st. She was an invaluable voice and anchor for the group. It reminds me of when my grandmother, Kinuko Sasaki, died suddenly and unexpectedly in 1985. The Mountain View Buddhist Temple Fujinkai and temple leaders felt a lingering sense of shock and sadness. I hope that our Sangha takes comfort that Aki is still here, guiding and protecting us as Namo Amida Butsu, the working of Amida Buddha's compassion. Reverend Takashi Miyagi in his podcast talked about the phrase rest in peace. Instead of resting in peace, he prefers resting in power. I like that. Our loved ones who passed away are resting in power. Lady Takeko Kujo, Lady Yoshiko OHTANI, past BWA members, and countless other Buddhas ceaselessly guide and protect us. I'd like to close by reading the English translation of Lady Kujo's poem, Starry Night, which is the Gatha Seiya that we sang earlier. If you can see the screen, you can read it together with me. Starry Night, Seiya. The starry heavens are magnificent. Ah, who can fathom their mystery? When those countless eyes glisten so brightly, how they delight my aching heart. More abundant than the sands of the Ganges are the Buddhas that fill the universe. Night and day, they constantly protect us. Hearing this soothes my aching heart. Please join me again in Gassho. When we say Namo Amida Butsu, the countless Buddhas throughout the 10 quarters surrounding us 100-fold, 1,000-fold, rejoice in and protect us. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Sharon. Also, thank you for reminding us of how the Buddhist Women's Association, the membership is very assertive, not shy, not withering lilies in the pond, but very powerful women who have worked very hard to support the temple. So I greatly appreciate every one of you who have been working so hard to make this temple to be what it is today. So thank you so much. Also, the Buddhist Women's Association welcomes everyone, whether you are a woman, a man, or if you're on the non-binary spectrum, everyone is welcome. We have, I know for sure, one male member that joined our meeting last week. So we are inclusive for everyone. Okay, and now we will continue with the Gatha Ondokusan. So please stand, page 128 in your Gatha book. Thank you. Please be seated. In closing, I want to thank all of you for attending our service today. And we will continue with closing meditation. Women's tears are beautiful. Divorced from the cold, objective world, they are drops from the limitless fountain of love. From the poem Women's Tears by Lady Takeko KUJO. Thank you. In closing, we will have hospitality down below for all of you to enjoy, light refreshments and beverages. And also the BWA would like to give everyone a gift, a butter mochi, as you exit the hondo. So thank you again for attending this very special and important service. Also, you may come and offer incense before you leave, if you haven't done so. Thank you so much for attending today.
burners? Only one stick burned. The first one, which I pretty much arranged like you told me yesterday, burned perfectly. But the other burners, only the first stick burned, and the other two. Sensei and I were talking about yesterday about how to position them because sometimes they don't burn all of them. So I do that, but sometimes they don't burn. Only like the first one, and then the second one just barely. So anyways, it looks like your suggestion to do like closer to the air. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the front, because I looking directly across, so I could see throughout the surface that
Yeah.
the was still
Yes.
sending up, the smoke, so I knew that it was burning the way through there.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about how we were positioning them. Sometimes they burn and sometimes they don't.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we have some theories.
I've had some struggles with that myself.
So Sharon, look, what Sensei was saying yesterday, because I usually do it like this. I usually do it like this, but Sensei was suggesting that we place them like closer to like towards the end, like this. Yeah, so I guess,
I really
I don't know, maybe it has more surface to transfer the heat or something. So I did this exactly on this one, and it burned perfectly. As you can see,
You put it on the tips.
like really